DreamHack Open is brought to you by Astro, Monster Energy, Corsair, Hacks, and GGBet.
Eight teams, $100,000, and 3 days to determine who will be walking home the victor. This is DreamHack Open Austin 2018. Thank you so much, everyone out there, for watching. I am your host, Bach, and another thank you, of course, to our sponsors as well. Corsair, Astro Gaming, Monster, Hacks, and, of course, the delicious New Belgium Ale. I'm really excited about that one. But to talk about everything we're going to be seeing this weekend, I've got two guests on the desk with me that know a whole lot more about CS than I do. I'm talking, of course, about Hazed and Lurpus. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me, upping the knowledge, and, of course, adding a pop of color.
Okay, we're not going to talk about the color. I promise. Please, no one ask about it, okay? Please. It's not a... We're here for games, not the hair. You understand?
You're peacocking on the desk.
Don't say that.
It's a good thing.
It's true.
Thing.
Look, it wasn't my choice.
I mean, it's still happening.
It's one of those things now where someone will come up to you and it initiates a conversation. It's a conversation starter.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about it. That's the problem. I'm antisocial. What do you want from me?
Well,
Counter-Strike analysis, I think.
yeah, I guess
That's
to a
what I'm
certain
here for,
extent
baby.
I can understand that. And to analyze that and more, we've got our teams coming up here in a second. You guys can talk about that. Let's look at groups A and B, who will be playing here on the stage. Fragsters, Heroic, eUnited, Luminosity in Group A, and then Space Soldiers, Optic Gaming, Rogue, and Complexity with their new roster rounding out Group B. Anything that stands out from these two groups, maybe a favorite from either one?
I mean, I think Optic and Space Soldiers are the two big names here, and they're obviously both placed in Group B, so it's going to be tough for Rogue and Complexity, the two American teams getting some exposure, but tough group to be placed in. I think Group A is more wide open.
Yeah, Group A is very wide open. I think I'd say any of those teams could actually make it out of that group. But as for Team B, it is unfortunate with the draws, I won't lie. But
It's rough.
I do
It's
think
rough.
Space Soldiers and Optic are the favorites in this tournament.
What about Complexity, though? Like, they're coming in with that new roster. Do they have enough?
Okay, so I've played against them a lot recently in qualifiers, actually. Somehow we always get pitted against them. And they do look impressive. They are very aggressive, and they could possibly steal some wins.
Now, looking at Group A, there's our bracket. eUnited and Fragsters is going to be our first match, and then Heroic and Luminosity coming up after that. We're going to be talking about eUnited Fragsters in just a minute, but looking at that Heroic Luminosity match, anything that stands out between those two teams?
I really look forward to seeing the Brazilians play. They've been steadily improving. So something I always say is I feel like there's a lot of American teams who kind of just play and play and play, but nothing comes out of it. It's like they're not practicing right because they're not improving. I think Luminosity has been constantly getting better since they moved to the US. So I think that's a team that could potentially still take the next step and become like an actually legitimate international contender at some point.
While I agree with you that the Brazilians do tend to always improve, unfortunately, since they picked up Steel, I feel like they haven't actually improved. It seems like it kind of set them back quite a bit. I don't know if they're still trying to find their footing, but Luminosity doesn't look that impressive to me right now. Hopefully this is the tournament where they can come through.
They did kind of ride a high coming up towards the end of last year, like, qualifying for ESL Pro League, doing really well in ECS, and then they just hit the bottom. They dropped out, and it's like a completely different team. It's kind of strange how that's happened, but let's take a look at the match we've got coming up next. It's going to be eUnited versus Fragsters. Now, James, as a player who's competed in the MDL against eUnited, what should we expect to see from them?
Aggressive plays. This team is filled with individual talent. A lot of times, I don't think they bring it together very well. But I think that's something that can be said for most of North America. We always
Most
have
teams
talent.
in general.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's hard to bring it all together.
It is. But in North America, we tend to have very good aims players, but when it comes to teamwork, we don't really do what we should do for our teammates sometimes. So eUnited, I feel like, is that kind of team. They do have a caller in Relics who isn't a natural caller. It's something that he got put into that role. So you kind of see it in their play style. They play very loose, very fast. They're willing to do scrimmy type of plays, but they have the individual talent to make it work. It just doesn't always work.
And that's the risky part, right? Like if you don't have a lot of structure to fall back on, if your players aren't feeling it, and you're feeling some pressure from being in front of a stage or in front of a crowd on a stage, that's when it can get tricky. So we'll see how they deal with that. I think getting a good start and not falling too far behind at any point in the game is probably important for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, what do you expect to see out of the maps coming from these two teams? Is there a map that you're expecting to see eUnited play? Maybe like Cache Mirage. We joked about it in the pre-show. Cache Mirage is like kind of the staple of NA.
Yeah, I mean, they do have very similar map pools. Obviously, North America loves Mirage, but I think at this point, the whole world loves Mirage. I think everyone plays it. It's probably the most played map in the game right now. But I could see this, maybe going to potentially Train. That would be my guess. But I don't see United doing that well on that map personally. But they do have a good record on it.
It's a rough map on the T side, right? Because you kind of have to rely on either getting the pistol and just getting enough rounds from that to at least have a chance on the CT side, or you usually actually need tactics. It's kind of a hard map to just brute force yourself into sites and win rounds that way. It's not really friendly to a skill-heavy playing style or a loose playing style, as you put it. So we'll see. I would imagine that that's not the first choice, but might come down to it anyway because you do get 3 vetoes.
Yeah, the only reason I see it maybe that it does go to that map Train is because they both have good records on it. But as you said, you kind of need tactics to make that map work, and that loose style does work against North American teams, North American versus North American. But when you're playing against a team that looks very structured from what I've seen in Fragsters, I don't see it working against them personally.
I mean, that's just the general comparison when you look at Europe versus NA. Like you said, it's like we have the aim, we have the individual skill, but they have the coordination. And we see the first vetoes coming out right now. It's going to be Inferno banned by eUnited, and then Overpass is actually the ban from Fragsters, which is a little more surprising because I'd say like maps like Overpass generally are not a staple North American map, so I would be less afraid to pay that. So it's probably more of a we're not good on Overpass than it is they're good on Overpass.
So we do get the American choice. It's actually down to Fragsters at the end to choose between Train and Cache, so clearly they have some respect for United's Train. At the same time, Fragsters, like we talked about before the show went live, is they're very aggressive on their CT side. They've got some players who really love going for picks, and that's how you have to play Cache. So I think I was just going to come to it. Like, I don't think Train fits that style very well because you don't want to go down a player. That's when you actually get in trouble on CT side of Train.
That's true, and as you said, their aggressive player, in my opinion, is Stavin. That guy, he gets wild. I feel like every time
he has no fear.
Yeah, no fear, always doing pop flashes for him.
He's that young blood. We've got Fragsters already setting up on the stage, and we'll take a look at the players we can expect to see from the game. It is an interesting kind of dynamic they have there with the two brothers playing on the team. One who is much younger than, say, your average player. He's been playing with the team for 2 years, and now he's 16 years old, and he's stepping on stage. As is that kind of like a difficult age to be stepping into a stage environment like this?
I mean, I'm not really sure. So when I started playing, my brother was 14, and he couldn't go to all the tournaments at the time. And not all tournaments have stages, as we see the player rundown for Fragsters. But I mean, he dealt with pressure well from 14-year-old onwards, playing against the big names. So I think it's very individual. I think in some ways, age is a little overrated because I think people start dealing with things at very different ages. So I think someone might be completely fine with the 14, and I think someone else might still be struggling at 21.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the age thing because I'm one of the older guys, so I started a little later. So I can't really comment on what it feels like to be on stage and that young, but I imagine that there has to be some pressure. Maybe since you're playing with your brother, maybe that makes you feel more confident, and you have that kind of big brother, little brother type of scenario. He gives you confidence, gives you like, hey man, it's all right, I'm here for you. So maybe that helps a little bit. I'm not really sure. I've never played on a team with my brother either, so you're the one who has the experience with that.
I mean, it helps that he's also one of the better players on the team, like one of the more consistent fraggers, puts up good numbers. His ADR and his HLTV rating are respectable. So being that he's kind of in a more star position and now he's on stage, it might actually help feed his play, rather than if he was like a guy who was struggling and he comes into a stage event and he starts to panic and get freaked out and worried what people would feel about him. That might turn things the other direction. We've also got eUnited setting up on the other side. Is there a player to watch, James, as a man who's played against them a couple times, that we should be looking out for on eUnited?
I mean, they're all exciting to play against and watch. I think maybe recently Moose has been one of their best players who's on screen right now. He's not really someone who I think of as like an explosive player. He's just someone who gets the job done and does it well. Whereas I think if you're looking for really explosive players, I think Dapper and Dazzle are both very explosive, and I feel like just out of nowhere, especially Dazzle, on Inferno sometimes in particular, he'll just run up mid and kill your whole team. It's actually insane. They have that individual talent to be able to do that. And then Skylar, who's on screen right now, one of the statistically best players in FPL, doesn't really come through as well in matches, unfortunately. So I think it might be due to the fact that he's in-game leading. It kind of holds him back. He has to play more of a supportive role, and it kind of hurts his statistics. But in FPL, at least, he seems like one of the best players in North America in terms of efficiency.
Now, looking at the team in general, Dazzle was at MDL. The whole team was at MDL, and they played against Team Spirit in the playoff stage. Dazzle had an insane 1 versus 5 Deagle ace with an armorless Deagle. I don't think we'll get that necessarily every round, but he does represent that more explosive playstyle. And then you've got, the op of Ace, who when this team was formed, was this like big, promising young player, but in classic NA Opper fashion, kind of dwindles and fades away. It's kind of a sad trend.
Yeah, to be honest, I never really saw Ace as that kind of player. I'll be honest. He has flashy kills, but he doesn't do it consistently enough for me to say, yeah, this is the next big offer from North America, unfortunately.
I'm just odd being in the middle of two Americans who are talking down on Americans. This is a new situation for me. I've never experienced this before.
Now, if you guys have an opinion out there, which I'm sure you do, you can vote in Twitch chat, !frag for Fragsters, !EU for eUnited. I know which direction I would type. I'm not going to say right now, but it's probably going to differ from the two to my left because they're hating right now on the red, white, and blue. Stars and stripes all day. Rock, flag, and eagle.
Just to be clear, I was the one quiet while you were just talking about how eUnited disappear.
I'm up here to be honest, all right? I'm here to give analysis. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, all right? If eUnited chokes, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully they don't.
Do you think that that's going to be a thing? Do you think it's going to be a choke, or do you think they're just going to get outplayed?
I mean, when the current meta of CSGO kind of says playing loose is the way to go. I mean, look at FaZe. They play very loose, and they get the job done. And eUnited plays loose. They have a lot of individual talent. So if they can keep that loose play style and be confident in making their plays, they should win. But usually when you get to LAN, that goes away. The confidence goes away. You're like, you don't want to be the guy that runs first, dies, doesn't get that entry, and puts your team in a 4v5. So if they can get past that kind of mentality of like, hey, I don't want to get my team down, I don't want to take this risk, they could win. I'm not sure if they will.
There's a quote in The Shawshank Redemption by the character played by Morgan Freeman. His name is Red. Hope is a dangerous thing, James. Hope can drive a man insane.
Well, there's also the important aspect of, like, you'll play differently online than you will at LAN. LAN's a completely different atmosphere. So, like, some of the things you can get away with online, you can't necessarily do on LAN. You'll get punished for it, right?
Well, that's what I was saying with the confidence thing. But, I mean, I think they might need more experience before they can pull off those kind of plays on LAN. But I think we'll see here whether or not they're capable to rising. Because it's not, this isn't like, the major finals or anything. So if they can come here and be confident, maybe they can pull through.
I think there's two sides to this as well. So I think for one side, when you're playing against a very aggressive team online, maybe you're not fully focused on everything. Maybe you haven't done so much homework on how they play, so you're not as prepared for it. So from that perspective, it's easier for them to play that way. On the other side, it's always easier to be in best form of your life and playing well when you're at home, because you have the chance of playing for 8 hours the previous day, 8 hours before the game if you choose to. Here you get, I don't know, like an hour of setup time, which is still, I think, very generous, especially compared to what it used to be, but it's not quite the same. Like, you can rely on having more skill than your opponents, especially when playing against really good teams. So I think it's a two-sided thing. Like, I don't think it's only on the quote-unquote onliners to become better offline. I think it's also the fact that some styles just aren't going to be as effective when the other team is fully ready for them and prepared.
That's fair, and I think that's where a loose style actually can help, because you have every player has tendencies, but since you're playing loose, it's not a structured, we see this smoke, this flash, they're doing this. If you're playing loose, you can change up what you're doing and catch teams off guard, so I think that can help.
It depends. I think it can, but then you have to be kind of smart as a player too. So, like, there's a lot of players who are loose and very skilled, but they're also predictable because they can sort of pick out their own tendencies to not make them obvious. So I think again, like, there's two sides to that. I do think generally, though, it's easier to prepare for teams that are tactical.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I'm told that you have 3 reasons why this should go one way or the other, presented by Hacks. James, why don't you break down what your 3 reasons are?
Yeah, absolutely. So reason number 1, recent run of form. So in my opinion, if you look at eUnited's recent teams that they play against, not really that impressive. Whereas you look at Fragsters, they played against some better opponents. They've come off a lot of wins recently. And I think it's going to build a lot of confidence coming into this tournament. Reason number 2, strategical preparedness. So if you have watched these guys recently and the way that they play, they take things, especially on Dust 2, they have strategies to take every part of the map. And I think that's really important for a new team coming up, not to play loose, but actually to have a strategical fallback in case, you know, maybe they do want to decide to play loose, but they have something to fall back on, which I think is really important. And reason number 3, similar map pools. So this is what we talked about when we were doing the vetoes. I thought it would go to Train, but there were 3 maps that you could possibly see played here, and Train and Cache were of the top 2. So I think that helps them when you're coming into a LAN and an international LAN. I think it's really important to play maps you're comfortable on. If you have different map pools, you get caught in a situation where maybe you're opening matches on a map pool you're not comfortable, or on a map you're not comfortable with, and that can cost you a lot of confidence in the opening match.
So now, looking at the series, we've obviously painted a picture here, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Who takes this one? I
mean, Fragsters, clearly. That, for me, I think it'll be not one-sided, but I think it'll be closer to around like 16-10, 16-9.
I'll have to second that opinion. I just don't know how eUnited wins based on what we've seen from both teams in their last couple months.
I mean, these colors don't run. Red, white, and blue all day, every day. I'm going to go with eUnited on this one. I think that they take it in a close game. You guys mentioned it. There is a map overlap, but this is one of eUnited's best maps.
It is one of their best maps, but as Tommy said earlier, you look at the way Fragsters plays on their CT side, they're very aggressive, and Cache is an amazing map for being aggressive on CT side. So I just don't see eUnited pulling this out.
That's unfortunate. We've got Blue and Dust on the desk. Do you guys agree? Is this going to be Fragsters all day, every day?
We're going to have to wait and see. I think it's going to be interesting because this is actually the first time that Fragsters will play this map on LAN so far in 2018. Obviously, plenty of online experience bringing it to the table, but there's always that first time you transition the map from an online environment to a LAN environment where things can get a little bit weird there. So I feel like that's going to be one of the small opportunities that eUnited's going to have to sneak through and try to take this map here.
Yeah, Fragsters only dropped this map once online, by the way, so they're actually quite good on it, even if it is one of eUnited's best maps. And it's not like eUnited has the most offline experience either. In fact, I would say Fragsters has more offline experience overall than eUnited does. So I think, you know, when you add everything up, it should be a Fragsters W.
So I have to ask you guys, are you willing to make a bet?
Sure.
If eUnited wins, James uses the rest of the die on you.
Hey, I said I'm not... Wait, the rest of the die on him?
On them. On them.
Oh, yeah, I'm down.
So if eUnited wins, he gets to use the rest of the pink hair dye on you. Deal? And if not, I use it on my beard.
Dust can take it. I'm not
That's a terrible idea to
this.
put on your beard, by the way. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that now.
Yeah.
Not a good plan.
All right, well, guys, take it away. Have a good match.
All right, thank you very much, Bach. It's our pleasure to bring you the opening match here for the DreamHack Open in Austin. It's going to be the Fragsters going up against eUnited. For those of you that are just joining the stream, Dust, how do we think that this matchup is going to shape up now that we know the map, the teams, and, well, we're pretty much ready to get started?
Yeah, I mean, the Fragsters is like this up-and-coming team, you know, kind of just proving more and more that Denmark, is just full of talent. A lot of young players on this team. They're all aged like between 16 and 21, but they're also very strategically sound. They're not just reliant on being aggressive or aim stars. Like, they have good foundational play. They even innovate on some maps. This is one of those maps where they actually have a couple of cool executes we'll talk about later when they're on the T side. And I actually really like them a lot. I think they did a lot of good stuff at Betsnet Masters in particular. You know, they beat VP, they beat Gambit, they took third at the event overall. They were competitive against teams like North and Hellraisers there. So I've been liking, you know, watching their come up, I guess you can say. Whereas eUnited, to me, is still a big question mark. Like, yeah, they qualified for EPL. They did do pretty good in ECS as well. They got some map wins against some of the best teams in the region, with the exception of Energy, because no one was beating Energy in ECS. But their offline experience is just lacking, right? What? Was he praying before the game, or is that how he's?
I don't know, actually. I kind of want to check back on that one.
Yeah, let's get back to that later on during the game. I'm curious. I mean, we have seen some weird stuff like that before. Like Micah Laley was kind of swatting
that's like when Quake players come over to Counter-Strike and they play with their keyboard on their lap.
Yeah. TF2 players
like really throws you off for a second there. It's usually a lot of like Russian players that do that too, apparently, because the rumor was that like land space used to be really small, so you didn't really have a choice. You had to pick between having it on top of the desk or not having enough space for your mouse. Either way, it's looking like we're ready to start the day off, ladies and gentlemen. So let's dive into cash and start off our first map between the Fragsters and eUnited. A nice little NA versus EU bout to start the tournament off.
And eUnited's wasting no time getting things going, just a straight-up 5-man B-rush, but Torben with the P2K was able to get one before the smoke goes down. Now he's blocked off, but the rotation's setting in, and they have the man advantage for this retake.
Site control has been maintained by eUnited, but as you mentioned, we do have everyone from Fragsters quickly looking for a path back inside of the site. The problem is they have a majority of their players stacked outside of the direct way in. They don't have a lot working on flanks. In fact, it's only one player that's going to be trying to do this. And now, look at this actually. Dazzle getting quite aggressive. He's going to push out Ace and Dazzle both picking up kills. He'll lose Dapper, but Dazzle gets one more kill on top of it. And now he's just holding the corner trying to close out. He'll be blinded out, but Refreshed only has himself 1 HP to play off of. A single bullet from anything's going to knock him out here. I think it's a safe bet, and indeed is now confirmed that eUnited will take control of the pistol.
Big round from Dazzle, one of the big performers for eUnited next to Moose, probably one of the more consistent players on this team. I think that they knew they had to make a play. The smoke was down. They didn't really have any more utility for the post plant. They were down a man. I felt like they just knew they had to make a play. They pushed Dazzle in the CT spawn for 2 kills and winds up with 4 on the round in total. So that was definitely a big move to make in a 4-on-5 post plant to cash in that pistol round. Get that 1-0 advantage. Now I'll have to see how Fragsters would like to respond. Sure, we will see some force spying. There's no doubt about that. Sure, plenty of CZs are on the way. And it looks like we are taking a quick pause, but now we should be straight back into it.
Yep, looks like it's already resolved, so we'll jump directly back into it. And as well, right in the first round, we see something that the analysts were talking about back during the desk segment about just how aggressive of a team eUnited is. Right from the start, bursting into the B site, and then that aggressive play even at the end of the round as well continues to show that play style there as they kind of surprise Fragsters. They weren't ready for that push, it seemed like, and they just get decimated by it.
Stavin goes heavy. He goes for UMP armor, so that's definitely a little bit, more of a force spy than you normally expect on this round. As you see Dazzle wasting no time. Getting a fire here on the sandbags, trying to flush someone out, which no one's there, but at least he has that peace of mind, so you get a little bit of mid control to work with.
Well, eUnited, because of the more passive style that we're seeing here from Fragsters in mid, is going to be able to move out, get at least one man with some control. Dragonfly tries to test things by pushing outside of the white box, but it's not going to pay off. Dazzle knocks him out. Now he's going to look for another try. Knock out a player too, and it'll succeed as he wraps around the corner, knocks out Bubsky, and leaves the A site pretty much wide open for the taking.
And we do see Relics working over here towards B with the MAC-10. You're going to see Stavin and Torben over here towards B. Normal B player. Stavin under the vent has a good angle, but Ace still gets the headshot regardless. Refreshed does fight back. That's some big kills. This might give them a chance.
We'll have to see it out. Torben still looking to hold on with the Deagle in hand. Relics going to back away from the situation for now. They'll play this safe. They're just going to make a quick run over towards the A site through mid. And I think even Torben is aware that this is a possibility. They do miss the Z smoke, but that shouldn't end up mattering all that much. Torben's not really looking to push it anyway. He's just kind of making sure that they don't actually push him through Z. So the T's will be able to successfully rotate over to the other site. Plant should be coming in the next couple of seconds too. And now it's all on Torben. See if he can hit some Deagle headshots here. Would give him a chance to clutch the 1v2. However, it's not going to be looking good now that he's been revealed. Has to immediately start making the push towards the site. But he's already allowed both of his opponents to get into great positions. Oh, that's a great shot from him. Tries to find the headshot on Moose, but it's not going to work out. He knocks him out, and the second round is found by eUnited.
Yeah, United just kind of calling it audible there, right? They're going for a mid control into a B split. They did take down Stavin under the vents pretty cleanly. That's normally a dangerous spot to deal with. But Refreza, kind of recovered the round, forcing the back off of B, but they diverted to A in a 2-on-1, played it right, and they weathered the storm of the force spot. So they're up 2-0. They have Fragsters on essentially a full save. I think Dragonfly did get a P250, but that's really about it. And they will just stack this A bomb site. Just gamble, which is pretty much all you can do in a round like this if you want to try to win. Get some early info, push A main maybe, make a call off of that, but this is really your only chance at something.
Dapper's fishing for kills inside of A main so far. He's done an alright job. He's managed to knock off a little bit of damage, but at the same time, Ace is doing the same with the Deagle. He's not going to be able to hold against the full push. However, Moose arrives to the situation just a tad too late, but he's still going to be able to control it after he loses his teammate. Torben actually ends up accidentally getting a team kill there, but he makes up for it. Picks up one more with a push to knock out Moose, and now T's are getting crunched a little bit, but they do have control over the B site, which is going to lead to a plant in a couple seconds. The Z flight comes out against them as well. They got to be a little bit careful since Dragonfly has the AK, but at the end of the day, everything is managed by Dazzle, and United still clean up to get the 3-0 start they were looking for.
Yeah, they really only lost like 1 or 2 AKs there because a couple other players were on Mac 10, so it wasn't as bad to lose that many players. But still, you are tapping into the economy a little bit, which might make you a little bit less able to get utility. So at least, you know, doing a little bit of economic damage there was Fragsters as we start getting ready for our opening gun round. But we have a little bit of a pause going on here, but hopefully it'll be just as short as the last one. We'll get right back into it. But now that the guns are going to be coming out, I will expect to see eUnited kind of slow it down a little bit. When I've watched some of their cash film, they've typically been a team that's a little bit more prone to go for like mid and late round executes and play a little bit more of a traditional default. They can throw out some explosive stuff here and there. Certainly players like Dapper and Relics are at the forefront of that, where you'll see them go for like these loose, aggressive plays, but they're actually pretty well composed on cash. I think a map like Mirage, they're a little bit more wild, but this map, I feel like they have a little bit more of a foundation to how they approach it. So we'll be on the lookout for that in the opening rounds. And as they were noting, for Fragsters, you got to watch out for players like Stavin, like Dragonfly with his AWP, looking to be aggressive on all sides of the map at any given time.
Absolutely. So once again, guys, just looking to quickly sort out the issue with the players. Bit of a tech issue, and then we will resume it and jump back into it and start our first gun round off. Hopefully Fragsters' first chance to get themselves onto the board as well. We've already seen some like good little mini aggressive strats from Fragsters as well, trying to at least get a couple kills off. As you mentioned, they didn't manage to drop any big weapons for the most part. I think they really managed to take down like 1 or 2 AKs total throughout the course of those 2 rounds. It was mainly just SMGs and stuff, but at the same time, in needing to do that, they bought pretty aggressively, meaning that going into this first gun round, their utility isn't going to be that great. They get basically like the bar minimum basics that they need for a hold. However, in terms of mollies and HE grenades, they're going to be severely lacking on that more than
Also, the problem is those 2 Mac 10 players weren't able to pick up any of the fallen AK, so they're actually carrying 2 Mac 10s over into this round. They weren't able to get the bigger guns in their hands, which means they'll probably do something a little bit more aggressive with Mac 10s. This is something where, you know, normally like someone like Dazzle's kind of playing towards B, but Dapper will sometimes double up with him and they'll look to do something aggressive in checkers. So this is a round where you could see that happen since they have the Mac 10s they have to use, unless they decide to dump them and buy AKs. But with their economy the way there is, that would be very costly. Also, some squeaky door pushes with Mac 10s are also sometimes something to look out for. So it'll just depend on what Relics wants to call. As again, an inexperienced in-game leader, he's definitely played on several different teams over the years. Like people will probably remember him mostly from like Selfless and TSM back in like the 2016 time period. But in-game leading is definitely something he wasn't really doing on those teams, but is now called to do it here for eUnited.
as far as the stats are concerned. Dazzle definitely showing up with that highest stat mark that we were talking about during the analysis segment there. So far, he's picked up over half the kills for his team out of 14 claimed. He's gotten 8 of them in these first couple of, obviously got anti-eco kills, or eco kills in their case, but still.
It's good to get going early, though, if you're a player like that, especially since it's Dazzle. I think he usually is one of their top performers next to Moose. So the fact that he's kind of getting a feel for it early could do a lot for his confidence. You know, if you start and you look at the scoreboard and you're like 0-3 or something like that, it can kind of get the players sometimes. So even if it is eco mop-up kills and stat padding, at least you're getting yourself in the game. You're making sure you're taking engagements and winning duels, and it can definitely help you later on.
Yeah, and he was the one that, again, Dazzle was the one that actually managed to control the situation going into the last one. There was a bit of a moment there where I feel like eUnited might have over-aggressed a little bit into mid and got surrounded a tad. Dazzle was the one that eventually went for the flank through the B site, and that was the small tactical mistake that Fragsters made there. He was the one that was allowed to go around Z and just execute those last 2.
He was really big on that pistol round, too, like pushing in the CT spawn in the post plant, and what was a 4-on-5, and making sure that he made a play to give his team a chance to win the round. They wound up doing it, and they convert that pistol into a 3-0 start because they, like you said, Dazzle kind of bails him out of a rough spot in the middle on one of those 4 spies where things did get a bit scary for a moment, but that has been recovered. And yeah, we're just working on a mic issue for one player on stage, so once that gets resolved, we'll be straight back into the mix here on Cash, which honestly is a map we don't see played that much, if we're 100% honest. Like, I feel like we often see like Inferno and Mirage and maps like that played a lot more, so kind of cool to see Cash get played.
I was thinking actually Cash was going to be the map that got removed recently. I was a bit surprised when it was Cobblestone, but yeah, that was interesting turn of events because I thought because of the fact that it was being underplayed so much and we weren't seeing it because it kind of seemed like the map had been played out to a certain degree. I feel like we were going to see that one cycled out and Valve was going to make some changes to it, but obviously what didn't end up being the case. However, guys, it does look like the match is now ready to go, so we are diving back into it, into our first gun round. We're now going to go with Fragsters buying up for the first time, and eUnited looking for a little bit of a bonus round if they can get it, because they're obviously still working with 2 Mac 10s. Nice little boost up inside of the smoke, gives Bubsky an early kill on Moose as he tries to run over Boost and is quickly taken down.
And they try to use those Mac 10s to just get some mid control. But they do get caught off on the boost there. Ace still has this AWP over towards the B, so it seems like they want to go for a mid-B split. They're just kind of waiting for that opportunity. Bubsy could cut them off at the vents, though, is the big problem. So they're flashing highway back, try to give them access to those vents so they can split. But Stavin, he's in a very tricky spot to deal with on this B bomb site. So once they split, he could really pop off.
Sitting in the corner. Problem with that is that is a position that often gets checked on entry. So if they make the play before he's able to do his, this could get rough. They don't check for him, though, so he sneaks off 1 kill. Relics will find the trade, but he's right back at it now with some assistance from Dragonfly up at Heaven, and Fragsters will quickly shut down the hit on the B site.
That's a big play from Dragonfly inside Heaven to keep Stavin safe in the corner. When Stavin gets that first kill, you would think he can get pinched basically from the Checkers doorway as well as main, but because Dragonfly was able to come out and take some attention, he's able to find a second kill and combine with his brother, actually, Dragonfly, there for the bulk of the kills of that round. And so they're fighting right back right away. And this causes eUnited to actually have to go 2 players on CZs, you know, instantly after losing their first gun round. So you can tell that their economy is not in the best shape.
And that again goes back to the fact that they lost about 5 or 6 players in the anti-eco rounds that they had earlier. So sadly, their money never really built up. They did get a bonus round, which has given them the capability to rebuy here. But obviously, again, 2 CZs, not going to be the best case. But at the same time, they are also CZs. So they could still find quite a bit of impact if you put them in the right place.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to be seeing them lining up for some type of A execute. They do have several smokes. I know they like to run this one execute where they actually smoke deep by the truck and they smoke highway. They don't do the shallow ones. And I think that's the 2 smokes they just threw. We'll have to see as they land in if that is in fact the case. We do see them lining up, and yes, it is a deep truck smokes. Okay, so they're going to be running in, trying to isolate the site, quick trades.
Fresh makes a big push out into the open. It's only going to let him go 1 for 1. And Dapper has also cleaned up Firefly. Bubsky makes a play for 2, but is then also traded out by Ace. This now goes down to a 2v2. Both CTs trying to work their way up through Highway right now as the United finally goes for the plant. Just the default spot. They can't afford to take a risk right now because they never really got full site control. They don't know what's lurking by truck or any of the other more hot angles that they have to try and worry about here. So Stavin is actually going to be the one that makes the play. First, wraps around the perfectly timed molly, pushes Moose out of coverage, but Ace, waiting behind the corner, only 11 HP, however, so he'll be traded after his first pickup against Torben, and that should give the round to the Fragsters.
Yeah, so that is the tactic I was thinking of that I've seen them run in the past, where they like to actually throw their smokes deep by truck and inside highway rather than up close in the forklift, because they actually like to push the forklift side of the site to kind of wrap it both ways rather than having to push your own smoke if you throw a more shallow one on the forklift. It is kind of the philosophy there. And Dapper does get a couple of entries, and they get themselves into a 2v2 post plant, but in the end, Stavin able to pull it off. That'll get him a second round, and it'll force eUnited into just a deco, I guess you would say. Yeah, everyone has a deco, so it is a full deco, a couple of armors in the mix as well. So it's all about getting picks with these, is your hope.
And for Dazzle, it's all about spamming at the beginning here. He'll go for a little bit of firepower. Sadly, does not work, and the trade back is much stronger for the Fragsters. Early nade knocks off a good 100+ HP. Another shot connecting against Relics now. So he tries to look for a quick headshot on the Z player, but again, is not going to be able to find that. It's Stavin waiting inside of Z. Very close, Relics keeps getting. No cigar just yet.
And they actually are going to have Stavin playing over towards middle. He normally plays B with Torben, but they have Dragonfly's op there, and they're going to be moving Dragonfly around a lot with that AWP, so people kind of have to be in flux to allow that to happen, and the team is pretty keen on being able to handle it, and they are now getting picked apart here on the United side, to be expected. But Relics does pop off 1 headshot at the very least. And they do have a little bit of control of middle now, though Refresh is looking to take it right back with the Sim 4. Knows at least one's here in the closet.
Bit of a misread on his actual position, though. He's going to have to look for him outside. Thankfully, he's low, so adjusting his aim right there to quickly pick up the shot on Relics is not going to be that big of a deal. Dragonfly finds himself another quick pick against Dapper in the B halls as well, and that'll leave Dazzle alone here. Sadly, on the opening, Fragsters dismantled their original A push inside of A main, and it just seemed like United, obviously with the rather low buy that they had to go for here, never really able to recover their strategy properly, so they get knocked out pretty quickly after the fact.
Yeah, so now we are going to see AK spotted up across the board, full utility for everyone. No AWP going to be in play for Ace, but actually on their T sides, I have seen them run 5 rifles quite a bit, so it's not going to really harm them too much. Ace can kind of double as an entry fragger alongside someone like Dapper and Relics, as Dazzle and Moose usually kind of on the periphery of the map, so we definitely can try to see if he can still have an impact. And it looks like they are going to be sending Dazzle over towards B here to kick things off, and so this is their traditional default all the way through. Moose will be inside the door. And they're just going to take this a little bit slow. This is going to be more of their tendency to do like mid-late round executes, which I see them do quite a lot. So no surprise here. Doubling up at B, but holding their ground as Fragsters.
Torben as well, restricting himself now to be alone in this situation. Both of the other angles have been smoked off for him. completely locked out of this situation, and sadly the molly is going to send him a bit too far to the open, where it'll be traded by Dapper in the sunroom.
Yeah, so at least Dapper able to trade that one back after the early aggression at B doesn't pan out for eUnited. So they get it back into kind of a balanced way. And this is where Fragsters can get stretched thin with only 4, right? You kind of have to make sure all your bases is covered, but now you have less people in each place. And that's where if eUnited gathered up as a 4 and hit something together, they can try to exploit that. But Dragonfly catches Rex going for the mid boost. That's going to give them the advantage right back. A is open for now, but you do begin to see Fragsters shuffling back over that direction.
And quickly, eUnited are going to try to move out to get some control. Still have a decent amount of time to play with here, so they're going to slow it down a bit once they're outside of A main. But the trades go back and forth, bringing us down to a 3v2 in the favor of Fragsters once everything is said and done and it's cooled down a little bit on the actual site. Still enough room at least to give eUnited a plant as Ace puts the bomb down on the ground. Dapper and Ace then out to try and hold. Dapper with a pretty aggressive move. In fact, has to go back through a molly to get out of there. Refresh is going to trade him. Sadly, Ace again presented an opportunity to clutch 1v2, but can't get it done. Bubsky finishes things off, and the Fragsters will now be taking the lead at 4-3.
Yeah, a couple of good picks there from eUnited to get into the A bomb side. They did catch a little bit of a timing where A was kind of being left open for a retake, but you could see that Fragsters were really disciplined in that retake. They were always kind of peeking players with 2, always making sure, like, yeah, if you kill one of us, we had the advantage on the trade back. And since we're a man ahead, if we keep trading 1 for 1, we're going to win the round, and that's exactly what Fragsters does. With that bomb plant and the loss bonus building, eUnited's starting to get a little bit of cash flow, but they don't want to use it just yet. They're just going to do kind of a middle-of-the-road approach here. They do get some CZs and a MAC-10, a little bit of utility, but they're making sure they can get that op back in Ace's hands next round. They have a nice full buy in round number 9. Gives Fragsters a good chance to extend their lead just a little bit, as eUnited are gathering up for what looks like a quick A hit.
Yeah, pretty much just going to send all their utility in relatively quickly here and try to burst out. Immediately, the counter molly comes from Fragsters, and they're just shutting it down. Frez just getting 2 kills right from the start. He will be traded, but Bubsky, nice spot, knocks out Dazzle's head very quickly, leaving only 2 still standing. Soon going to become 1. Just Dapper back over here by the forklift, trying to find any angle to get play off of it. At least trying to get 1 more kill here, maybe 2. He saw those 2 guys back by truck were incredibly low, but sadly can't pick up any of them. Torben gets that last frag, and Fragsters do indeed get to push their lead forward a little bit here, but they're going to be challenged once again as another gun round is coming up.
Yeah, Ace will have the AWP back at his disposal. And then again, everyone else should be fully decked out. Everyone on Fragsters so far doing well. That's one of the big things about Fragsters. They don't really have a single star player. They typically have pretty good frag distribution across the board, but Ace beats the timing on the mid-smoke and takes Bubsky out of the equation early. So nice little job there from Ace. Dragonfly looking to even it back up, getting very aggressive at B. Oh, misses his shot, but he does get away at least.
Moved just a little bit too early before the shot actually rang out, so caused that inaccuracy to show up, and he's not going to be presented that opportunity again. The good news is, at the very least, he does push eUnited back towards the other side of the map, so it should be pretty easy for Fragsters to read into this being a potential A hit or at least a mid play, so they can start to focus up their players. They've already rotated the second B player over to the other side of the map, so they're going to be ready for whatever eUnited throws their way. I do like the attempt from Dazzle to try and make it look like they're still trying to go for at least a little bit of
He's forced Dragonfly to stay in place now.
Yeah.
Like, that little bit of pressure means that he can't rotate to assist his team at A just yet. But we'll see if Refresh and company can still hold this off. Refresh has a good angle here unless somebody flushes him out with a Molotov. He's got a nice little angle to hold.
Ooh, Molly's going to go all over the site, too. This is going to be bad for the CTs. It's already forced for Frez out, and he's going to go down to Dazzle. Now it's Torben that's going to take up the mantle here, trying to make a push forward. He gets flashed out, but still holds his ground. Loses Stavin, though, and Torben soon to follow, as now it's down to only Dragonfly, and he's locked into a 1v4. They did miss his entrance into A main, at least.
Moose is on the flank as well. Might be able to stop Dragonfly from turning around and saving this AWP, which he probably would have thought to do here soon, but won't even get the chance. And that's a great round from eUnited through and through. They really use the advantage of the opening pick from Ace well. They catch Dragonfly's aggression, they absorb it, they move away from it, and great Molotov coverage on the A bomb site to limit the angles that Fragsters can safely hold from. In fact, they force Professor to straight peek out into basically 4 players all staring at him inside A main, so really well-designed mid-round there from eUnited. And now they have a great chance to tie this thing right back up because Fragsters immediately have to take the save. They've had so many close rounds that have come down to 1v1 type situations.
Yeah, so near full eco for them, pretty much just a couple Deagles being bought up. Only Stavin gets himself armor. Rest of the team is going to be pretty much minimum buys. eUnited, obviously, the world is their oyster this round. They can do and take whichever site they wish. Just a matter, I think, of looking for that first kill or two just to play it safe. We know what was happening back on those anti-eco rounds, back in rounds 2 and 3, so I think eUnited's probably playing a little bit more careful just to account for that so they don't end up losing, 3-4 players in this round again. Already finding some damage on Bubsky, and it's looking like now that they've postured up a little bit, they can start to line it for the execute, and it works out perfectly. Snazzle also walks around quickly through Highway to pick up a first kill for these guys.
Yeah, it seems like they're just picking up everything with little issues. Stavin does find one Deeg frag there, but Moose, meanwhile, on cleanup duties inside the A-bomb site. Professor has found that one AK. He can choose just to back off and save this. They don't really have a kit, so they have to work fast if they want to try to go for the retake. Also, they just have one flash, I believe.
I don't even think they've noticed this player on upper either. They're going to know about it now, obviously, as he fires out. Oh, Stabin quickly knocks him out of the match, too. That's going to bring things down into a 2v2. Stabin, though, he's having trouble getting anyone from eUnited out into the open, and this goes back to their very low buy. It's worked out, though. Stabin moves in. Ace finds the trade, but Refrez trades it right back on the Deagle. Does he have enough time for this defuse? He should have plenty of time. So that's going to be Fragsters maintaining their lead and going up to 6-4.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you're at a minute advantage. Only one of you has a rifle, and you don't have a kit. So you have to work really quickly, or if you don't find that pick fast, you're going to have to back off. But they are able to push in. I think this kill is really what set the tone. Stavin being able to get inside the A site. No one even peeked him either. As he comes around, he just basically sneaks up onto Relics. So he definitely got himself a lot out of that round, especially with virtually no investment. Fragsters win. That's a tough one if you're eUnited. That's one you feel like you should be clinching easily.
Immediate losing bonus reset as well for United. So this is going to be pretty much their all-in buy right here. Bank account, for the most part, has been emptied out. Moose still has a little bit of cash, but everyone else is pretty much flat broke at this point. So if they drop this round, they're going right back onto an eco, and Fragsters is really going to be able to push ahead.
Dragonfly again patrolling that B-bomb site with the AWP. Definitely favors this side of the map with it. He might be able to catch a free frag on this player out in Sunroom. If he peeks just a little bit more, he might catch a pixel and be able to spam him down. But does back off, and as the smoke fades, he takes a shot but misses. Definitely it seems like a mid-B split is in the cards for United. That bomb is in Sunroom, so that seems like a declaration of intent. This is where they want to go. Nice pop flash for Stavin, does some damage. No kill though.
A little bit timid on it, but he gets the secondary flash to help him out. Just easy. A little bit. Probably he's going to get pushed, but still puts a second one up onto the board before Relics is able to then trade him back out. Torben, along with Aropper, still patiently waiting on this site for the eventual push to come in from United. It's coming now. However, Moose and Ace not looking too hot. Moose down on the ground, and Ace can't even get in through A main anymore. He's been mollied back out. He does read the Vents flank coming out against him, but the spray is just not there. Refreza takes him out, and it is another round for the Fragsters.
Yeah, it's just good team play there. Like the first pop flash comes in, Stavin doesn't get his man. He's forced to hide in the corner. You think, oh no, now he's trapped and he could be in for some real trouble. But the second flash comes in, he's able to get his kill and even finds a second on the first player dropping out of Vents. So well done there from Stavin to get those opening 2 kills, and then the rest of his team were quick to capitalize. And so we do have a tactical timeout coming in from eUnited. Not a bad time to do it right now. Their coach, Oso, back there, pitching in now, as they definitely need to find a couple of more out of this half, you'd have to imagine, because Fragsters' T-side on cash is definitely nothing to ignore. So they definitely want to see if they can grind out a little bit more. So we'll see what they come up with.
Well, we're jumping back in the match now, and it is indeed that full eco that we were discussing on the last round that's going to come in here from United. Moose gets the best buy with a CZ armor purchase. Besides that, it's just P250s and in Ace's case, a default pistol. So they are really scrapping for cash on this round. And if everything goes according to plan, this should be a pretty easy shutdown from Fragsters.
Yeah, it should be. Just one pop flash to run through the smoke with, and that's going to be it.
Although, there is a quick trade. Freza in the open as well.
Okay.
It seems like things never really go the way they're supposed to in CSGO, as now Dazzle moves in for the second kill. Dapper's got to be careful, though. There's a lot of CTs in that lane, and they have range advantage at him. He's getting a lot of good intel, though. He knows exactly where all these CTs are coming in from now. Sadly, still in a bad position, so he really can't stay alive for that long. But Relics immediately shows up with another trade, bringing this into a 3v2. In fact, you've also got Moose in mid now, causing a disturbance. Oh, against the Z player as he taps out Dragonfly. Eliminates him. Stavin's tired of waiting, so he's going to dive right back into the site, jump onto this, see if he can fish out any more of the T's. It's worked, but he'll come out on the losing end of it as Relics gets that second and final kill on the round, and eUnited upset on a full eco.
Yikes. I mean, I think that's eUnited maybe getting a little bit of revenge for that round that Fragsters kind of stole from them earlier, where they were just working with pistols. Really good work here from Dazzle and Dapper, like pushing into Chuck, getting all the intel, even doing chip damage for Moose to clean up later. Moose on that late lurk middle, catching Fragsters scrambling, and it's now double op in response from Fragsters. So we'll we'll see how they want to position those two AWPs. Looks like Dragonfly, normally Ops B, will take his A, and Stavin, his brother, the Opping Jeans, will be taking it over at the B side.
Very, very split up from both teams, though, in the opening couple seconds of this round. Not really any solidified strat just yet from eUnited, just playing for picks early on. Haven't even really gone to the B halls yet, though. But the good news is Fragsters also decided to play this passively this time as well. The Opera on the B side, Stavin is way back behind Checker's box right now. So neither team is really going to be able to fish much from the B halls in the opening here.
This is kind of eUnited playing patient and safe right now. They like to do this a lot, where Ace will just watch for a B push with the AWP. And they will just kind of like make sure that no one's counter boosting, make sure that now they actually just get an advantage because they catch Bubsky. So now they can just play out a normal mid round and have a good chance to win, as they are going to go for some later mid control now off the back of that pick.
Look at all the attention that's drawn to mid, though. In the second, we're going to have a boosted vent player coming back over, too. It's going to be contributing to this. Right now, obviously, you only have Repreza helping out in mid. There's been no vent presence. However, Dazzle, yeah, again, right on the front lines is where he's needed. Quickly takes down Torvin. They've seen the white box player. Dapper manages that one. He'll get dinked on the way, so he's down low, but he's the only one on this team that's taken significant damage as of yet. It's just down to the two operas now. They're both separated. Either site's the best option here. United will go for it. Dragonfly with a good first opening shot, though. Knocks out Moose on the way in. Misses the shot on cross. Now they're close up, but he hits that one. Tries to go for one more, but can't make it happen as Dapper takes him out. And Stavin will more than likely... he might actually go for this. Might just go for a pick at least, but more than likely should end up calling for a save.
Yeah, trying to retake with an op 1v3, no kit. It's not really something you can do, but maybe you get a parting shot.
I think that's what he's looking for. Yep, now he's gone away. Now he's going to save.
And he'll be able to pass it over the Dragonfly next round. They can try to play around it as much as possible. So he's still fishing for something here, but not finding it. We'll try to get away. We'll have to see if anybody wants to take their chances at chasing him down. This will make it 7-6. And the way the money is, you don't want to commit too much to chasing down this AWP, probably.
I would say not, yeah, because eUnited's still very, very low in terms of their money. Some players, they're like just now getting to an average of like 4 or 5K. You can see there on the screen now. So sadly, don't have the monetary capability to chase that down just yet, because I think Fragsters, yeah, Fragsters are going to be broke this round anyway, too. So that's going to be the only weapon they'll have anyway.
That's a crazy one right there from Dapper. Just spamming a common spot where someone wants to push towards Closet. Happens to catch the kill. And then from there, you just feel like Fragsters are trying to go for a kill, trying to even the odds. And at every single turn, eUnited were there to greet them and keep themselves ahead and build their lead even further. It's like one of those just kind of things where, you know, it's a domino effect. You just keep trying to go for a play, and then the weight just keeps falling on you. And so that means that eUnited has actually really closed the gap on this game. It's a very tight race in this half, actually. We really haven't seen anyone go on like a big streak of wins. And a lot of these rounds have kind of come down to, even the rounds that Fragsters were winning early in the half came down to like 2v2, 1v1 type situation. So it's been a very scrappy game here on Cash.
Yeah, they've kept it close, to say the least, here. Maybe beyond the expectations of some of you folks at home in terms of what we were going to be seeing from this match. eUnited has definitely showed up to play, breaking down Fragsters' economy multiple times. The same is true of the reverse, however, so they do be careful of that. But it's the op, the only weapon that Fragsters are able to carry into this round so far, it does work, as it's knocked out Dazzle. And they also have quite a few of their roster over here ready to fight within the A site now. And they've got an AK picked up that they're going to try to work on a flank, but there's another one from Stavin as his aim gets thrown wildly to the sky. Tries to go for one more, but it's not going to happen. Dapper picks up that kill against Stavin, and now we're down to a 3v3.
Yeah, Dapper catching everyone right now, even gets the A main flank behind him, and now takes out Bub's AWP. Dapper's on right now. He's actually on for the Eco Ace, but Moose will not allow that to happen. And now we're all squared up at 7, so they don't fall prey to the threat of that single AWP. They tied up the game. 1 round left. We'll see what Fragsters can buy up. It's going to be M4s and armor. They're not going to be able to get an AWP out again for Dragonfly. They also don't have any kit coming into this round, so that means playing for a retake is going to be a lot harder. You have to either work a lot faster, or you have to really just focus on defending the site up front. And we'll see United again, just kind of keep it slow. But this is a big B push that Dazzle's feeling right now, but he is able to get out of there.
Yep, made the safe choice. Usually it's only going to be 1 or 2 players pushing the halls, but if all 3 of those players had decided to commit to that, Dazzle would have gone bye-bye early on in this round. So he decided to back away, and for good reason too. But obviously this does give the CTs their own capability to smoke off the hallway, take really aggressive control of what's going on. What's up?
Dapper just had the AWP just to watch for the B push. Now he's thrown it down and grabbed his AK. So because it's the last round of the half, they had the extra money. It was nice to be able to kind of have that second op to keep vision on that, and then still go for your normal play in the mid to late round where eUnited normally likes to execute from. So definitely just making the most out of your money, I guess, is the point. As we do again see them staging up for what looks to be mid-control, just clearing out vents with the Molotov. Relics is going for that deep truck smoke again, so I think they're going for that deep truck smoke execute once more that you saw them run kind of in the middle of the half. But Stavin could disrupt this.
Stavin's going to quickly sneak out to mid, has himself a very exposed position. Oh, and sadly gets caught in the movement. Dapper gets himself to a better spot first. It's down to Stavin, and that's going to be Fragsters losing a man on the field. However, they trade it back, and they should have seen the bomb off that kill too, so they know it's trying to shuffle through mid into the vents now. Ace is going to prioritize just getting the bomb inside of Checkers, which he'll be able to do successfully. But Torben still waiting on the site. The boosted up position too. He's going to have to give that up, sadly, as the pressure for the T's is just too much to handle right now. Moose, Dazzle, Relics tearing everything apart, leaving only Dragonfly alive, but he paints down 2 targets quickly, looking for one more, but he can't make it happen. Relics denies that opportunity, and with that, eUnited will take the lead at the end of the first half.
So credit where credit's due. That was actually a pretty well-designed fake out of eUnited. They threw those same deep truck smokes that we saw for the execute earlier, but it was intended to be a B split. Now, Fragsters seem to catch on to it. Like, they seem to get a read on it because they did spot that bomb out in the middle, and they got players positioned in the B site, but it just didn't matter. You know, United just brute forces their way through anyway, gets the entries they need, and they do wind up locking the half 8-7. So not a bad T-side display from eUnited. And while Fragsters are pretty tactically savvy on their own T-side, now there's a little bit of added pressure to get the rounds because they don't have as much runway. They didn't get that big CT side. Looked like they were going to get it there for a moment, but after that timeout, eUnited really recovered after that. Like, they had an eco after the timeout, which they wound up stealing away. And then from there, they won the last 4 rounds in a row. So, you know, props to them to get back into the half like that.
Adjustment was great, and it's now given them a great chance to push ahead. So they're going to be jumping onto the CT side, and we're going to be going into the pistol round right now, ladies and gentlemen. So let us find out if eUnited can keep this momentum going. As you mentioned, winning the last 4 rounds of the half, after dropping, I believe, like 5 out of the last 6 before that or something of that nature. Very, very rough middle half in general for eUnited. They managed to recover it in a very good fashion. And now it has brought them into the second half with a 1-round lead. But obviously, that could still go either way. So it's going to be chaotic at the start. Relics does get the spot that they're crossing through the vents, but that's not going to stop the pressure from flowing right into the B-bomb site here in a sec. Ace in the one-and-done spot. He's going to have to try and make it work. He's trying to get aggressive, but waits, and for good reason, too, as he picks up a double kill by doing so. Moose in a little bit of trouble. He needs that rotate, and he's going to get it. It's down to just Bubsky now in the 1v3. So eUnited, unless we see a heroic effort from Bubsky here, they're looking good to take control and remain in control at the start of the second half once again.
Yeah, really well done there. Like, it's just kind of a deja vu from the first half where it was Stavin stuck in that corner. He had his teammates kind of bail him out. It happens for Ace as well. Players in sight heaven able to cause a distraction, keep him alive for 2 kills, even gets damage on a 3rd. And now Buck's stuck in a really difficult clutch situation. He does get 1 kill out of it, but with 11 HP and time ticking and the bomb down inside the site, so no real way to escape, he's in for a real tough time.
The good news is this play happens so quickly, so he has infinite time in terms of the Counter-Strike clutch nature. But sadly, eventually he's going to get knocked out, just the wrong peak at the wrong time, and 1 stray bullet is all that they really needed. But it was a good attempt from him to at least attempt to clutch it out, but sadly it does not pan out for him. So eUnited will be taking control. They are going to push ahead at 9-7, likely to go further up to even 11-7, depending on what Fragsters are going to do with their buy. They force here, so they will be just going for the normal 4th round buy since they were not able to get a plant on the first.
Yeah, armor across everyone except for Dragonfly, who of course wants the AWP quickly as he can get it. They're going to go for a little bit of a mid boost here, but Dazzle coming up close with the MP9. Oh, Torben with the decal takes him out though, so no cash bonus SMG frag there for Dazzle. And in fact, the advantage goes the way of Fragsters.
United's not going to overreact or anything of that nature, though. They still stay in pretty standard positions. Relics is just going to wait for the flow to come back into mid, as he's got that nice, safe white box position to try and play off of here. However, for the most part, Fragsters, they're shifting away from it, but suddenly they do end up pushing back in. Relics already picking up 1 kill in that position, knocking out Dragonfly. They'll look for a second, too, but the spray's not there. Torben gets his second on the round. Dapper will actually burn out Stavin as he tries to push through T-Main, but at the same time, he's going to fall back because Moose still has this position at back checkers. He finds 2 more kills, and now we're down to just Refreza.
And he knows that one player's back checkers, but the bomb's also down there, and he has to know that there's a rotation setting in. Does have that head armor, so it gives him a little bit more to fight with. And of course, the CZ can be ever so dangerous, and he does spot this player out, but Dapper with the MP9 gets the kill, gets that cash bonus coming in. And so their route to 11 looks pretty clear at this point.
Should be pretty much just a minimal buy from Fragsters here. Maybe a couple P250s, and even that would be giving them a bit of credit. The only one that can really afford to buy here would be Dragonfly and Torvin, but obviously Dragonfly saving for the op. Torvin will just buy a flash, and that's all we're going to see here on the full eco from Fragsters. United hopefully can finally get themselves a good anti-eco here. In general, the 3 anti-eco rounds that they've been able to play out at the beginning of the half so far have been relatively messy. They've lost like 7 or 8 players.
And here's the other thing. If Dapper can get enough money out of this MP9, he will just double op with Ace. Like, Ace is a more A-heavy opper as opposed to Dragonfly, who's more B-heavy, but Dapper will take a second op at B a lot. So if you can get this MP9 flowing in this round, this will give him that option. That's what they're probably looking for.
Moving out. Relics going to be a little bit flashy. He's only able to put together 1 kill. Ace as well, swinging his crosshair everywhere. But he does manage to find 2. Stavin is the one that eventually trades him out, but he's not going to last much longer as the cavalry arrives, shuts it down. Even then, though, still 2 more players go down from eUnited. So sadly, I doubt the money will have built up too much. It should be a rebuy here, and then maybe 1 more force buy after this if they lose this opening round. But sadly, they did not get that much of a bank from those anti-ecos.
And I'm looking at Dapper. Is he going to buy the second op? He dropped the FAMAS to someone, but no, he does pick up the M4 instead. He had the money for it, but he wanted the utility instead. So we'll just go single op setup. And yes, Ace will take it towards A as expected. And now we'll have to see what eUnited wants to do. They're going to go for a little bit of a peek here, a little bit of a boost peek. Oh, did spot the top of the dome. Misses the shot, though.
Those nades from eUnited are also going to miss salvers. They weren't expecting the boost to be backed by truck. They tried to counter out some early aggression at the actual boost. Nothing to be seen there, however. Besides that, Fragsters still keeping themselves spread out into a general T-sided default, not taking a main control yet, mainly in fear of the eUnited push that could potentially come through to there. Stavin has taken Sunroom control, but is mainly just sitting here waiting to make sure CTs don't push him. Bit of a waiting game here, as the CTs also subscribe to a pretty passive policy on this round.
Yeah, Fracture's a very default-oriented team on cash, usually Stavin outside B, Refresher playing towards the door. And Stavin's a very aggressive guy, though, so you will see him try to make individual plays at times at B lobby. But again, kind of like eUnited, they like to go for more mid-late round stuff. They do have a couple of really high utility executes, but it's not at their disposal in this round, as you can see. They don't really have that many nades, so we won't be seeing that from them in this round. But again, still pretty disciplined, looking just for picks, and Bubsky does catch Dazzle aggressively in A main. That gives him a little bit of an opening here. Stavin still keeps tabs on the B side of the map. Mid control's been taken. Fragsters is doing great right now. They're building up this round nicely with this map control.
Quickly looking to lock the A players out of any type of retake as well, should they be able to successfully work their way into B, as that is going to be the game plan. Just a matter of the time factor in this, although Fragsters is getting a little bit low on it. 24 seconds remaining here. Thankfully, they have the numbers advantage, but Ace has even started to rotate over as he thinks something's going on the B side, and he's right to do so. He does have to be careful, though, because Refrez is going to be flanking against him at the same time, and that could quickly knock out this Heaven presence. 1-to-1 trade. Refrez is actually going to walk in, and Ace shuts him down head first, and Dapper sprays down 2 of the last 3. Ace will come in with 1 more, and that's eUnited holding strong on the B side and going up to 12.
I thought that Refresher flank was going to absolutely wreck eUnited.
Didn't get his gun out in time.
Just too aware. Oh, he spots him as he's jumping in. Oh my goodness. Poor Refresh. But great pickup from Ace. That was kind of the guardian angel play, so to speak. Now the double op is in play. Dapper will actually be maybe taking his somewhere else. It's actually Ace going towards B. Probably had a better spawn around out Heaven for this pick. And he will not find it. Okay, then.
See Ace get hit, though, with a nice deagle shot right to his chest, bringing him down to about 60 HP. So he's obviously going to watch for that, but he gets his revenge just as quickly. Moves out, and this time eliminates Torben, leaving Fragsters with 4. Relics, he's got to be careful, as that position does not play into his favor in a slow peak situation like that. So Dragonfly will trade it right back. Oh, and with Bubsky's kill, all of a sudden, it's looking like Fragsters might have a chance to make something happen on this round.
Yeah, they are getting a numbers advantage now. They've gotten some picks. Dapper, though, that second op inside A is good for 1 kill. He's getting pushed, but pulls out the deagle. Lines up 1 and damages the other severely. So he keeps his team in the hunt for this round in a 2-on-2. Bond's actually down in a tough spot, by the way. It's down deep in highway. So getting to it's a real problem.
Moose has eyes on it now, too, I believe, so he knows that it's happened.
Oh, did they not? Oh, no, the bomb's down? I don't think they realized it just
I guess
yet.
he didn't peek out far enough to see it.
Yeah, maybe not.
They have to with the way Ace is playing this angle right now.
I think maybe Moose is just going for the long con by swinging all the way around through B like this.
Well, either way, Refrez is going to be able to walk right up, retrieve the bomb, and then quickly make a run back over to the site. eUnited really does not understand what's happening right now. You might have been right in that they might not have actually seen it. I feel like they did, but...
I think Moose is going for the long con to come all the way back around A main and catch them. But they do get the bomb. They are going to get it planted. But Moose may be on the A main flank quicker than they expect, but unfortunately Ace has fallen in that process. And now it becomes a lot more difficult.
Still kept himself quiet the entire time. He's still going to smoke and a molly to play off of too, so this is not the end of the world for Moose, losing his teammate back at Z. However, he needs to make the play very soon. He's already lost a lot of the bomb time. Oh, and this is a bad situation too. Dragonfly stuck right inside, has to go for a direct peek. There's no other option given the time he was playing against, and sadly the crosshair was positioned in the perfect spot to take him down, which will finally give Fragsters their first round of this half.
Indeed, it will. And now they can afford a lot more utility. They have Molotovs on everyone, smokes on everyone, plenty of flashes. This is everything that they could ever want and more in a round. And I'm curious to see what they do with it, because again, they had some nice like Ring of Fire, you know, old school like threat style type tactics that he used to run with Nip on this Fragsters team on both the bomb sites, and they can be very hard to deal with. It's very explosive stuff. And now that they have the utility to do that type of thing, I'll be on the lookout for it. But right now we do see Dazzle. Oh, it is basically a force buy from United. They keep the double AWP stuff. They have some Gs and a CZ. Looking to get a little bit aggressive over towards middle. Stavin's been starved off of doing anything on the B side thanks to smokes.
Bubsky's also patiently waiting for any aggression that might come through from mid, since there was no smoke thrown out initially. It's not for the reason that they think. A lot of pressure coming in on Dapper from the B halls too. He's going to be brought down to just under 60 HP again. So he now has to back up, can't play aggressively anymore. T's are still being a bit cautious themselves, though, because of what's going on in mid, so they have not decided to commit to anything towards the B side or even the A side just yet. It's definitely going to try to play towards mid pressure again. Dazzle can't find safe harbor anywhere. They know he's forward now, too, so they're more than likely going to check for him as they go over boost. Nope, just another molly instead will manage that situation. Somehow he avoids the heat, however, but they are going to be able to spot him, take him out. But that opens the fire gates for Relics to start finding a trade, and Ace as well to come in from the backside now, completing a very long flank, and that evens it back up into a 3v3.
Thank Lord the bomb bounced forward to refresh, because it actually almost got stuck on the other side, and the Fragsters would have been in a lot of trouble. Now they do have a 3-on-3. Ace open, but Refreza has to run through a crossfire, and he actually dinks his own teammate as they're trying to come through. It's a problem because it's A main control for eUnited, so they can't safely get back in A. They actually have to back off now, traverse through vents, and they're running out of time, and there's still a player in the B side.
Dapper spotted the push, so that's to start calling for rotates from the A-bomb set. We've already got Moose on the way to try and hold off by the A-main door. Less than 10 seconds to plant the bomb, and it goes down to the ground. Dapper fails to get the last kill, and Stavin actually manages to swing it back, but he does not have time to plant the bomb. So the round will still go to eUnited on the timer as they push well ahead, reset the losing bonus for Fragsters, and get their own 13th round.
Yeah, good job there from eUnited. Even though the A-bomb side itself was open, eUnited did push in for A main control thanks to Ace on that flank, getting a kill. He picked up an AK as well, and so that meant that Fragsters could never really safely cross in. They didn't have any smokes or flashes left at that point. They wasted so much utility on Dazzle, who was up close. Remember that. Like, Dazzle was dancing around, and even though he didn't get a kill, he just wasted so much of Fragsters' utility, which they didn't have later on to take A. They ran out of time. They had to go B. They had no smoke to stop Dapper's AWP inside spawn. And at that point, it's just like a shooting gallery for eUnited, who wound up taking it. Now they're up 13-8. There is still some money out there for Fragsters to try to fight back. But eUnited, I've been impressed by them so far this game. Like, great recovery first half on T side. And they've been playing this second half really well also.
So now we'll dive into another round. Sadly, eUnited never really built up their money to a good point even after winning that round, though, due to the heavy losses that they sustained. So they are still going to be working with a lot of MP9s. 3, in fact, this time. They've had to ditch the double op setup as well. Only Ace carrying it on this round, although a good opening nade knocks out just under about half the HP from Stavin right at the start. Oh, and there's going to be a big funnel of players coming to the B site. Dapper's able to find one with the rifle, spamming in through the tree room. Nothing else picked up just yet, though, as the T slowly shift in for control.
Quick exchanges here, 3-on-2 though. Torben evens it back up, but we're seeing lots of aggressive plays here from eUnited to keep them ahead, but Refreza trying to hide, trying to use the smoke to get the hell out of dodge. He does have the bomb as well, so he has the option to run it all the way to the A-bomb site, but he would get actually beat in a foot race by Moose at this point, so now he has to kind of take his time, maybe try to play some mind games. But no, he does just go ahead and commit to A. He will get the plant. Moose didn't run all the way through to A, so he does have time to get it down, but he still has to play a 1v2 with low HP.
Yeah, eUnited hesitate a little bit once they cross mid, I think, just in the event to try and avoid the switcheroo, I guess, from Refresh to try and go through mid. Sadly, Refresh still plays into a very exposed position, hoping that they would come through mid, and that is his ultimate doom, as Moose is going to walk right out, get the easy pickup, and obviously the easy round 2 for eUnited. They're on their way to 14 in just a second, only 2 away now from winning their first map of the tournament.
And see, that was actually one of they're big tactics for Fragsters. Like, you know, kind of what I was talking about earlier, like one of these threat kind of Molotov tactics, you know, clearing out all of checkers with Molotovs, getting good coverage with Molotovs on the site itself. And that's kind of one of their go-to executes if their default isn't working. They didn't have as much behind it because they were a little bit low on funds that round. So they didn't have everything at their disposal, but they still had a pretty good amount, but they just still don't make it work. Good defense there from eUnited. They were kind of pushing through Fragsters smokes at just the right time to kind of blindside them, and now they're just a couple away from locking this map up and moving on to a winner's best of one later today for a chance to go straight to the playoffs. And Fragsters, I mean, they're kind of forced by to survive now. You know, like they go a little bit lighter. There's no armor behind this one. But even next round, they're not going to have that much. So they're in a lot of trouble.
This is just going to be an absolute shutdown from eUnited. Tearing it apart, only losing Dazzle along the way. The other 4 stay well and alive. And with that, eUnited will push up to map point 15-8, getting through the anti-eco with ease that time. Finally, we see a good anti-eco from them. And finally, the rebuy comes in for the Fragsters, as you were talking about before. It's not going to be terrible. It's pretty much just your basic kit. The Opera's not going to be able to afford utility, but everybody else gets pretty much exactly what they need.
That's the thing. Like, Fragsters relies a lot on high utility executes. The fact that they're lacking on one of their players does take a little bit out of them. But still enough, though, to run their defaults and do kind of standard stuff and look for opening picks. But again, eUnited with this aggression, they might even go for the counter boost. They haven't done this before, so this could catch Fragsters off guard.
Oh, they're right as they're boosting too, so Dazzle sneaks one away. Doesn't want to try to go for the second kill, though. Loses too much HP from the initial fight. So he backs away. Moose will also hold off a quick push inside of the B site, which seemed to kind of come out of nowhere from Stavin, because now the remaining 3 players are going to go into A on their own.
I guess they were thinking there was going to be some type of Vince push combined with that, so Fragsters catch a little bit disjointed, but Ace misses his shot, and this does open up the A-bomb side a bit, but Relics, he has kind of snuck in with the smoke with the M4. He might be able to spring out and grab something as they are planting the bomb.
Porketh player can easily take him down with a bit of a push. Relics, though, is the one that seals his own fate by pushing too aggressively up to the site. Torben and Frez are able to push back out from their position by Quad to be able to handle that, and now it goes down to a 2v3. eUnited don't really have a path back into this site, and they don't even want to retake. We can already see the save being called by Moose. Just a matter of time until Dazzle also fades away here, and the round will go over to the Fragsters. They maintain for at least one more round. The score will draw ever closer as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, these 2 players are the lowest money holding players on eUnited, and you have enough cushion here to where you don't have to force the issue. Like, plenty of breathing room being this many rounds ahead. Might as well just save these guns over towards the B side. Fragsters don't really have the money to hunt you either. So Fragsters do wind up with a 9th, and they do hold on to 2 AKs and AWP, so they can now buy up a good bit of utility here and keep things rolling. But eUnited, it seems like inevitable that they're going to eventually win this, right? Just the way they've played this map so far has been rock solid.
Just going to have to wait and see. So obviously, with the save being successful, eUnited still managed to carry forward with a pretty decent buy going into this round. Fragsters, of course, rejuvenating themselves. Definitely improving the utility buyouts that we saw compared to the last round, but it's Relics that pushes forward. Molly on the ground assisting him at everything to knock out Dragonfly early on. That's the op from Fragsters going down just in these first couple seconds. And eUnited's also going to set up on A there. A little bit of Shroud boost going to be happening.
And I wonder if they heard that. I think they have one player in the Squeaky Hall, that's Refreza, who's normally there. I don't know if you would have heard him jump up there. And that could give them the tip-off for when they do go for the execute to know to look there, right? But if he got there quickly enough, they wouldn't have heard it, and he could really just be kind of the snake in the grass. And in fact, they have 2 players up there. They have Dazzle on top of the light above the door, and then they have one on the actual boost box. This could be insane if they actually go A. But if they go up highway,
I mean, they're going to go A because they don't have much of a choice now.
Yeah.
They're 2 B players they sent out towards that site just got destroyed. One got killed in mid, the other one got killed on the way into the site.
The one thing that thwarts this is coming up highway as a terrorist, because it's pretty easy stuff to see, but they don't get there fast enough, and Dazzle takes down 2, and Ace finishes it off. eUnited take the game.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Our final score is going to be 16-9. NA will win this battle here today as eUnited takes their opening match over the Fragsters, and they will push forward to the group winners match later on today. As far as Fragsters are concerned, they're of course not out of the tournament just yet, but they are now in the lower bracket for their group and must come back tomorrow to play in a best of 3 for survival.
What a tricky last round there. I don't think I've ever seen a double boost on A, where just someone's on the light and someone's on the boxes. That's just a pretty crazy way to close it. And I have to say that I was just impressed by eUnited all the way through the game. Like, I thought after their timeout in the first half on their T side, they adjusted really well. They played nice, disciplined Counter-Strike throughout the game, and they had some great mid-round reads. And in the second half on the CT side, they just got the job done, right? Got a big lead to begin with, gave a couple of rounds to their opponent, but in the end, they made sure that they stayed ahead and they controlled that game really well. There was never a moment where I felt as if they were like in threat to lose once they got that second half lead.
Well, guys, it does look like we have the analyst desk ready and waiting to break down this game. So, Bach, let's send it back over to you, and of course, the analysts.
All I'm going to say is that you guys are going to look really good with pink hair over there on the casting desk. Because I said it, if eUnited wins, you have to dye your hair pink, John and Dust. So have fun. Do you have extra of the pink dye?
No, I don't.
We'll have to get some. There's got to be like a CVS.
You think I got... How much dye do you think I used?
I don't know. This is not the first time you've dyed your hair in interesting colors, so I thought you had like a closet with like...
It takes a while and a lot of product.
Also, that closet might not be traveling with him at all times.
Well, he's nearby,
It might be.
I assume.
Just got the pink dye on deck.
You never know. Now, looking at that game, we came into it, and you guys all expected to see Fragsters take it. I think that was kind of a universal thing, was that Fragsters was going to take it. And early on, it was actually looking really good for them. Like, they lost the pistol in the ensuing anti-ecos, but then they win the first buy round. And then it starts to pick up steam a little bit.
I mean, to me, pistol rounds were the key for eUnited. That's how they sort of stayed in the game. I think if they'd even lost one of the pistol rounds, the game might have sort of gone away from them already by halftime. They wound up getting into the half only in the second half. That largely thanks to having those couple early rounds, and then in the second half, frankly, I think Fragsters looked a little shook. I think they made some mistakes that you wouldn't expect from them. They didn't look very comfortable, and it didn't seem like they could really get into their game plan.
Yeah, and I think a big problem for Fragsters was that Dragonfly didn't really have the best game, whereas Ace in the second half really exploded and got a lot of really huge multi-kill rounds with the op there. They really needed Dragonfly to get some picks for him. Stavin played wonderful. We expected that. That kid's phenomenal and very talented. But what we talked about in the pregame was Dapper and Dazzle being explosive riflers, and on their T side, they were explosive. They both averaged over 100 DAR in the first half on their T side, opening up bomb sites, getting kills. There were a lot of rounds where there's one in particular where we were talking about how Dragonfly pushed B main in a 4-on-5, had control of that entire side of the map, made a really aggressive play, and they played 3 on the A bomb site, and they just still got entry today and lost, even though they had a perfect read on the situation.
What was interesting, too, is you guys said, Dapper's rifle is what to watch out for, but then he started opping in that second half as well. Like, on their CT side, he was carrying the op pretty frequently. They kept going to that double op look.
Yeah, about that. So...
Not a huge fan?
Everyone, I think most people know my take on opping. I think it's easy. I don't really care what anyone has to say. I think anyone can do it, so...
All right, so it looks like we've got an interview ready as well with Relics. Skylar, you just come off that big win. How are you guys feeling right now, picking up a win, your first game against a European opponent that everyone else thought you would lose to?
Yeah, we're feeling pretty good. I think that we came prepared, and we were happy with the map we got, especially. We had a few maps in mind of like what we could get, but we were comfortable on cash. Our T side too kind of started pretty sloppy. We got eco'd on one of the rounds. Like we could have had a better first half to convert into the second, but we got the second half pistol and kind of carried it home from there.
Now, with it coming up on cash, you guys were coming into the series and you knew what to expect from them, but you also knew that cash was like a decent map for them. Had you actually done like some background like information searches, watching demos and stuff on Fragsters?
Yeah, we had some info on kind of how they play cash and how they preferred to play on both sides.
As an in-game leader, taking over that role, I'm not sure if you were forced into it. Was this something you voluntarily did, Skylar?
It was something I didn't intend to. Like, I joined the team just to take over a different role. But when another player left and we needed an IGL, I kind of figured, okay, like I'll give it a try. I wasn't really forced, but I decided like maybe I fit the role best.
How do you think it's going?
It's going pretty well. Kind of started slow, and especially when we brought in another player, so Dapper was new and I was new, and we had to start from the ground up. Like, we didn't really reuse any of their old like setups or strats like from Rise when VSA called. We just kind of started fresh, and it's hard to do because we were in the middle of a season, so we're playing and practicing. But now that we kind of have the groundwork laid, it's getting a lot easier.
And I wanted to ask about the double op. So we saw Dapper opping a lot. He's been doing a lot recently in FPL as well. Is he your dedicated second op, or is it something that y'all are going to throw around in the team?
We actually have a different secondary op depending on the map. And on cash, it's actually supposed to be Moose, but sometimes like if he doesn't feel comfortable with it or he doesn't want to because he wants to play kind of different with the rifle, then Dapper will op. But yeah, our secondary changes depending on the map.
Interesting.
I mean, I've seen Moose op, so I'm not surprised by that at all. When you came into this map, like, What was your game plan starting the series? You knew what to expect. Was there anything coming into this that you were like, we're definitely going to do this?
Mostly, especially if we win pistol round and then we don't get ecoed, so we just go like with a 3-0 start. We kind of have made the decision where we really should just default, try and default, see how we can take like map control and see if it works. Because a lot of the times we won't even attempt to default. Like our first gun round, we'll run a strat or something, and you invest a lot of nades in utility, and then if you lose the round, then you go into a default. But if they win that first gun round, the next round you're attempting to default, they have a ton of nades. Whereas like if they're down 0-3 on the first gun round and you just wait to take mid control, after like the first mid smoke and a molly, they probably don't have like a ton of nades to hold mid. So we were kind of focused more on, we didn't really do it in the beginning of T-side. We started running like strats early on, but we were trying to be more default oriented.
And it sounds like y'all are trying to be very strategically sound, whereas y'all are a team that I looked at playing against y'all in some qualifiers in the past few months where y'all seemed very loose in the way y'all play. Maybe I had the wrong read on y'all. Do you agree or disagree?
I think it kind of depends. I think we try to play both ways because I think it's important to have good fundamentals rather, and like a foundation of tactics. But let's say you start a game and everyone's just hitting shots and like you're winning, you win first gun round 4-0, 5-0, and then if you just play loose, like just default mid and then do splits based on picks, if that's working, it's working. And then if it doesn't, you have strats to fall back on, and
All right, Skylar, thank you for taking the time out to sit down and talk with us. You can go ahead and feel free to celebrate with your team. We are going to be throwing things to a brief break, but when we come back, it's going to be Optic going on the stage against Rogue. It should be an interesting series. You're watching DreamHack Open Austin 2018. We'll be back in a bit.
Place your bets at gg.bet.